It's all about how are you managing the relationship with someone you're going to work with. And in most businesses, that's the pre-purchase or pre-contract relationship. It's the same thing that a lot of our patients are dealing with before they become patients, is they need that time to make a decision. They call that the buyer's journey.
With the practice management software, the downside to that obviously is that you don't get that information until they become a patient. So if they haven't come in the office yet, you're not going to have all that information.
We all get busy. We all get slammed. There's so many things going on. The harder something is to do, the less likely it's going to be done at all, or for sure be done correctly.
Welcome to another episode of the Full Arch Advantage podcast. I'm your host, Gary Bird. I'm the founder of SMC National, where we help you create, convert, and close more full arch cases so you can grow the way that you want. We got a special edition today with Josh, who is the VP of Growth here at SMC National and a CRM expert. He's going to be sharing with us what he's going to be speaking on at our Full Arch Advantage event, August 18th and 19th. You're not going to want to miss this. This is all about CRMs and what you're going to need to understand to make sure that you have the infrastructure so you can grow the way that you want. Stay tuned. All right, Josh. So I'm super excited to have this conversation with you because we're going to be at the Full Arch Advantage event, August 18th and 19th. And we're going to have a room full of doctors who want to grow their full arch cases. We're going to be going over building a playbook on how to create, convert, and close more full arch cases. It's the first kind of event where everything's going to be in one room, where we're not pulling any punches. We're showing people how to actually be successful across the board. But one of the things that never gets touched on at these meetings, and I've seen them, I've watched the virtual, I've gone to meetings like this, they never touch on the CRM. They just say, yeah, you need a CRM. And I'm super excited because you just, right before I hit recorded, you said, I bleed CRM. So Josh's background is he's from HubSpot. So he really understands CRMs, not from a dental perspective, but from the correct way of setting these up. So could you just give us a little bit of insight of what you're going to be talking about at the event and just give us some insight on how this is going to help practices really grow their full arch?
Yeah, for sure. Would love to. So just as a quick recap on how do you even get involved in CRMs? Like, why in the world would someone love CRMs? So I started out in marketing, but really I'm a sales guy at heart. I love sales. And as most sales guys, I am not very detail oriented. And so I would find that I had a hard time keeping track of, wait, where was this conversation? Because you have so many conversations that are so similar, it's hard to remember where did you last leave off with someone? And then when you meet with them in a few weeks later, like, what was the next step? What were we supposed to talk about then? So that's where I started learning about CRMs. And that's where I started learning about, wow, there are whole systems that are built to scale the amount of activity you can do as an individual. And so if you're personable, if you're good at what you do, which I talk to a lot of doctors that are great at what they do, they're very personable, they really care and show that they're great at that, but they don't have a system that helps manage, or even their front desk doesn't have a system to help manage all the conversations they're having. Yeah. And so they're not as efficient or could be as good as what they could do with a system like a CRM.
You want to hear something crazy? Dental marketing agencies are dead. You got that right. They're dead. Why do I say that? Well, we don't consider ourselves a dental marketing agency. We are a growth partner. What that means is we help our clients not only create opportunities, but we help them convert them and close them as well. And that is what's needed in the day and age that we live, because just getting new patient leads is not enough. You need somebody that's going to help you actually get these new patients into your chair and make sure that they're the right kind of patient for your office. Now, we put together a whole report that will tell you where dental marketing currently is, because there's a ton of changes, tons of things are going on with the market. And we broke down what you're going to need to do to stay ahead of the industry and grow the way that you want. The link is down below. Go check it out. Everything is free. I look forward to hearing from you.
That's so good. Yeah. And I'm thinking about all the times now that Josh has told me, Gary, tagging me in our CRM, Gary, let's move the conversation over here. Let's get it out of text message. Let's get it out of Slack. Let's get it off of the phones. Let's get it back into our CRM. Yeah. And the reason for that is alignment. If I'm having a conversation with somebody before they're even in sales, and they're like, hey, Gary, we're thinking about working with you, and I'm telling them things, and then someone in the sales department talks to them and tells them different things, and someone, at the operational level or at the product level starts telling them different things, it causes confusion and then clients aren't happy. And so the same thing happens in the dental office. And I know what some of the doctors are thinking right now. Well, I know the conversations I'm having with all of my patients and I document it in my PMS, which is great if the patient makes it in. But what about your front desk? What about before they become a patient? What about if they said they were going to come and then they no-showed? Where is all that being tracked? So can you just delineate the difference between the PMS and a CRM? Because I think those kind of get mixed together sometimes.
Absolutely. So let's first break down so the acronym CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management. So it's all about how are you managing the relationship with someone you're going to work with. And in most businesses, that's the pre-purchase or pre-contract relationship. That's when they're a lead,
before they buy treatment, before they pay for their treatment.
Before they buy treatment. Yeah, exactly. Thanks. Gary's helping me translate and make sure this is, because I come from the software world. Gary's pulling me into everything dental. So yeah, that's pre-patient relationship. Now, it's in the name. The PMS is patient
or practice
management.
Practice management. Yeah, practice management software. So you're managing the practice and how everything's working together, but it doesn't account for everything that's happening with the relationship, nor does it give you any flexibility around that either.
And so there's some really good systems that do an amazing job with recare analysis and how much potential, all this stuff, but they don't do anything around leads or around people that we're spending lots of marketing dollars for to get to show interest, but just aren't ready to walk in the door yet. Think about when you're making any type of big decision that's over a few $1,000s. Typically, you're not going to swipe your card on the first thing you see. Typically, You're not going to make that decision. You want to shop around. You want to feel good about it. Maybe you want to talk to a few people. You want to read reviews. You want to see all of your options. It's the same thing that a lot of our patients are dealing with before they become patients, is they need that time to make a decision. They call that the buyer's journey. And wherever they're at in that process is how close they are to making a decision. So let's make it super tactical and go back to the front desk. So let's say you've got Nancy at the front desk. She's really personable. She's great at what she does. She has a million things going on. All she has to do when she's following up with one of the leads, they're not a patient yet, with one of the leads, is she goes in the CRM and she sees, oh, this is the Stevenson family. They have two of their parents that are looking to get arches. They have, this is, their oldest daughter is the person who's helping make this decision. They have, Nancy now is armed with all this contextual information that when she calls the Stevenson family, it makes it sound like they are a top priority and she has just been thinking about them since they talked last month. When in reality, Nancy has talked to thousands of people since then.
Yep.
And so it helps give that instant memory recall, the ability to make sure, yes, we can provide a personalized experience to each person who's coming in at scale.
Yeah. Okay. So, and again, I already know because I've had this conversation with people before. Here's what people are thinking. Well, I have a spreadsheet with everything in it. Or I have in my practice management software, I have like a little sheet that it puts in there like, hey, so with the practice management software, the downside to that obviously is that you don't get that information until they become a patient. So if they haven't come in the office yet, you're not going to have all that information. But what would you say to somebody who's like, oh, I got a spreadsheet. I kind of manage it that way. And that, I got multiple tabs on it and those kind of things. What's the difference between a CRM and just having a spreadsheet with a bunch of tabs in it?
Yeah, it's a great question. Spreadsheets are a great place to start. So the fact that you have a spreadsheet is you're already that much ahead of everyone else who doesn't have one, who is using, I've even seen people using a pin board to keep track of where people were at. A physical pin board.
That's hard to scale.
One day it fell over and they were using Stickum notes and it fell over and they all went everywhere. Anyway, true story. So the reality is a spreadsheet is one dimensional, meaning it's going to show one record to whatever's happening in all those fields, and it has to be manually updated. So we all get busy, we all get slammed. There's so many things going on. The harder something is to do, the less likely it's going to be done at all, or for sure be done correctly or accurately. And so what you have is you don't have the last time that person was emailed is logged in the spreadsheet. You don't have the last call recording of what did we say? Oh man, I can't remember what was said. Hold on, let me just go back and listen to it. Oh yeah, that's what we talked about. You don't have those things. You don't have the last text message or whatever else. And so you forget. It's hard to keep track of that information. So you wind up saying the same thing to someone all over again. And we've all been on calls like that. It's like, if you want to make someone feel valued, just tell them all the exact same conversation over again. Believe me, they'll feel super valued. No, they won't. They'll feel like, oh, I'm just another person in your roster. I'm just another someone you're following up with, versus I have a relationship with this practice and I want to trust them with a $30,000 mouth makeover, so on and so forth.
That's so good. Yeah, I love this. And so Josh, you're going to go through how someone can set this up correctly in the CRM. So that way they're not guessing and going, hopefully, because I've tried to set up CRMs before. You think like, oh yeah, we'll just roll it out and just start using it. It's not that simple. There's a lot of rules. There's a lot of holes that people can fall in. So you're going to actually go over, here's how you should be setting up your CRM for full arch conversion.
Yes, we're going to talk very high level because like you said, Gary, I mean, we could spend the entire conference on just how to set it up and we'd still feel like we had more, not that it's so complex, but everyone's custom, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be how to set it up at a very high level, but mainly how to convince your staff that this is the right move. Because you all have so many systems to use, so many new tools to use. So how do we convince your team that this is the right thing to introduce and how it's going to help them do their job better? That's ultimately work. And then the last piece is going to be how to get visibility.
That's awesome.
How are you, because you've done all these things right, how are you going to get visibility from everything? I can't wait to meet everyone there. I'm already getting a lot of fun conversations from people that are going to come. And so it's going to be a blast.
That's awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing a little bit about this. And I'm super excited to have this conversation on stage or listen to your conversation on stage and really help practices just level up. So thank you so much for all you do.
Absolutely.